Myron Gaines ruined Miami? What? That's such a hyperbolic statement, King Leo. Myron Gaines can't have ruined Miami. This one Sudanese fed couldn't have done it. Well, as always, I'm going to explain on this pleasant Florida evening. How are you guys doing? Let's make sure we get a good angle here. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to the King Leo Show. I'm your host, King Leo. Please like, comment, and subscribe as usual. And be sure to follow our two rules of the channel. Rule number 1, we don't talk about the King Leo channel. And rule number 2 of the King Leo channel, we don't talk about the King Leo channel. How are you guys doing today? Pleasant Florida evening. We have some nice winds coming in, a cold front. I hope everyone is blessed with good weather this weekend. How are you guys doing? Myron Gaines. Who knows who Myron Gaines is? I assume for the online people they know. Myron Gaines is a Sudanese former federal agent who hosts a dating podcast called Fresh and Fit, or at least that's what he used to do, and has now transitioned into the Groyper sphere. I guess you could call it the Groyper sphere. Myron Gaines moved down to Miami around COVID, like a lot of people did, and I've never liked him. Just from the background, and this is my prejudice, my prejudgment. Anyone that's a former Fed to me is inherently suspicious. They have weird motivations as well as good training on media. They know how to talk to people to make people inflamed, to make people comfortable. So I was already skeptical of him like that. But what he started to do when COVID started is he started to host this dating podcast with his partner, Fresh. And what they would do is invite on young, dumb, OnlyFans girls to their show here in Miami. I actually know someone who went on. And what they did is that they talked to them about marriage, about basically all of the red pill manosphere stuff, but in a very aggressive way. That's unlike the Whatever podcast, which is also another terrible podcast. But what they did here was they brought some aggression to it. They were really manly men telling women to shut up, get out, don't come here, we don't want you back. And that was what set them apart, I think. They were really being mean to women online in real life. And a lot of people identified with that. And I understand dating culture is completely broken. People are not as happy with the sexual marketplace as they were before. However, I always thought that this approach was clearly stupid. They always framed it as an attempt to educate their male viewers on the true nature of the woman, and to educate their female subjects, their female participants on the show, on how to be a good woman. But they invited almost exclusively just OnlyFans girls. And I see that as an issue. I think that the explosion of OnlyFans can be tied directly to Myron Gaines and his show. I think that he popularized this show in the minds of both men and women because of the inflammatory clips, and by proxy, he actually made OnlyFans something that a lot of young women now see as a viable career option. As Adam Curtis says, famous movie director, you do not summon forces you do not understand. And by interviewing these young women, these women who you may disagree, you may agree, you may think it's fine to do OnlyFans, you may not. But in putting them on, in bringing them into the studio, Myron Gaines created a spectacle. And the thing about spectacle, in film criticism, when we study movies, there is a school of thought that says that there is no anti-war movie, because any anti-war movie, be it Apocalypse Now or Saving Private Ryan, has to show the spectacle of war in order to be successful. And when you show the spectacle, it's inherently a pro-war movie, because you're showing people how cool war is. And in bringing on these young ladies and having them fight and defend themselves and attack Myron and also be kicked out, he made this a spectacle. His show is a carnival. It's a carnival like Piers Morgan, but Piers Morgan is the hero of this channel. Piers Morgan is completely different. This was a spectacle of OnlyFans, a spectacle of the lowest grade sex work that has ever been created. He really put it in the minds of a bunch of young women that this is a viable path. Everything he was supposedly fighting against, and I've heard theories that this was done on purpose. Might as well be getting a check from OnlyFans for doing this. that he may have done this on purpose, because it's just not, it's too coincidental as someone who lives in Miami to see the explosion of OnlyFans models in the city coincide with his arrival and his podcast popularity. I think that this was, whether it was an op or not, an unwitting or a witting op. If it's unwitting, I mean, he's the dumbest fed ever. He should have got paid by OnlyFans to do this. This was very negative for the dating pool, the dating market in South Florida and the country, because now everyone knows, this is what he's telling you to know, young men, that every girl is an OnlyFans model because that's the only people he brings on the show. And he's telling every young girl, you should do OnlyFans because you'll make a lot of money. Is that a good idea? Is that healthy for society? No, absolutely not. This was stupid. But it doesn't stop there. The story doesn't end there. Around 2 years ago, I think, Myron Gaines decided to get in on this anti-Israel grift. On this channel, we don't really talk about Israel. We have some criticisms of policies and all that, but it's not really our issue, okay? You can love Israel or hate Israel. I don't care. You're here, and I appreciate your perspective. You can call it a war or genocide. It's all valid to me, okay? But what he decided to do was he was going to get involved in discussing this war or genocide going on in Gaza. And I thought this was a very unnatural transition for a former cop fed who's talking about dating shows to go into this. You could say it's a grift. You could say everybody's got to eat. Maybe Myron needed to eat, and this was the path. Maybe the OnlyFans girls, he interviewed all of them. There's none left. What can he do? He can only transition to talking about the Middle East. And he's made appearances on shows like Patrick Bet David by proxy and Nick Fuentes and all this, and Sneeko, who constantly talk about Israel. And he's been embraced by this anti-Israel movement. However, what I find so suspicious about it, what I find so strange, is that he is actually pursuing the same model he did with these OnlyFans girls, but he's just transitioning it to Israel. Let me explain. Myron Gaines is now a fixture in Miami Beach, well, not as much after Charlie Kirk, in Miami Beach, in downtown Miami, where he sets up a little table and just debates people about Israel. Whether you think that his opinions are right or not, I don't think that we are going to stop the war or genocide or fix the Middle East by setting up tables and harassing Jewish people in Miami. These Jewish people, in addition, what I find so repugnant about it, is most of them, if not all of them, predate Myron's arrival. Myron showed up to Miami, a city where, Miami Beach mostly, is like majority Jewish. Like, it is a very Jewish city, and it's been like that for decades. And he just decided, let me grift, let me piss them off. And now, Jewish people in Miami don't feel safe anymore. And the people that got along with them before, we have to make sure that everything's okay when you approach and everything, because now they are not comfortable. And it's completely understandable. It's completely understandable. And it's just so futile. That's what I really don't understand, is what is a Miami Beach Jew going to do to stop the war or genocide in Gaza? How is there any outcome of this fruitless debate he's having on the streets, where he has to bring in bouncers to back people off because people get heated? Obviously, it's a war. It's just IRL trolling, and he's transitioned this into actual universities where he's covering these topics and arguing with college kids about women and Israel. And I just don't get it. I don't get how this is an effective way of communicating your message. I guess maybe you'll convince some people online. This is not going to change anything. This is not going to do anything for the cause of anti-Israel. In fact, it might actually do more for the cause of Israel than anti-Israel. Just think about it. I mean, these are just bad propaganda clips that get spread online. And meanwhile, it's taking a step back. This is a 40-year-old man, I assume, maybe late 30s, unmarried, no children, wearing graphic t-shirts in the streets of Miami, fighting with young Jews. Is this really? I asked it on the Steven Crowder video. Is this what America is about? Is this what it was all for? The 250-year history, so that a former federal agent Sudanese guy could show up to Miami and just make people angry here? Is that what the point of it was? I don't get it. I don't get it. And this is not me defending his targets, whether it be OF models or Israelis, if he did this with anyone, he's just picked the most inflammatory people. It would be the same effect. If he came in here and he started, debate me, Fidel Castro is good on the streets, people would justifiably become angry, and that would be a negative outcome for the city. This city, since Myron Gaines' arrival, has become a city of OF models, which he has created, and angry politics where young people are just, everyone is constantly in debate mode, and Jewish people are just uncomfortable. What was the point of this? What was the point? The point was just to make this city hell, and our local governorship already did a good job at that. So Myron Gaines, I can't say for sure, but this is agent provocateur stuff, man. This is odd. Why would you show up to a city because you said it was a good city when you showed up and just proceed to ruin it? This is stupid. This is dumb. You filled the city with a bunch of OF models, and I assume like manosphere types, and now everyone is constantly isolated. Everyone is constantly atomized, all because of the effects of one one guy who decided to get on camera and yell at young women. I don't see, this isn't white knighting. This isn't saying that they are right, the young woman to do OnlyFans. I just don't see how any of this was effective for his cause, which was anti-OF and anti-Israel. So it leads me to suspect that the actual reason for it was to create hell and help the opposite sides of this. What other conclusion can you draw? It's one thing if it were just the OF model and he stuck to that, but he replicated the same model. If he's just trying to make money, okay, sure, but it seems like his followers actually think he's trying to change lives, change foreign policy, change the nature of the woman, the nature of the man. And none of that has happened. In fact, it's all gotten worse. So if you're a follower of Myron Gaines, I'd have to ask you, you think this was sincere? You think this makes a whole lot of sense? Doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me. And it's interesting because in Miami, I have heard, especially from women friends that I have over the years as his podcast has risen, they have always gone for the Fed accusations. They've always said, this guy's a Fed, he's here to divide men and women. I haven't really heard anyone address his Israel stuff, but I've heard a lot of young women say this. And at first, I discounted it. I said, they're just mad because he's bashing on ladies. But I think they may have been right. Maybe Myron Gaines was an op. He was a total op, and he will continue to be an op to serve his interests. Because what other conclusion can you draw? This guy, a mysterious magician from out of town, shows up and promises you the world. How does this Twilight Zone episode end, man? It ends with your destruction. It ends in disaster. And I think that's exactly what his intentions were. There's no other explanation that really makes sense to me. You could say I'm right, you could say I'm wrong. I took a lot of heat for my Steven Crowder video, but I think that this one is one that anyone who tries to be objective can look at and go, yeah, none of this was good for dating culture, for anyone. Because it wasn't Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels was another popular manosphere guy who was actually trying to help people, individuals. This was all spectacle. It was all circus. It was all show. And in doing that, you only assured the destruction of young people's dating lives, the quality of life in the city of Miami. I'm sure Gini coefficient's gone down since Myron Gaines showed up. You have made this hell. And you should probably just get married and have some kids if you're always talking about how you're Muslim and you have family values. That's what I would expect any good Quran reading boy to do. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. So why haven't you done it? I don't understand. I don't think his partner understands. It seems like his partner, Fresh, has distanced himself from the guy. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I would too. I didn't sign up to yell about Israel. I signed up to yell at young women. What are we doing here? How much more money can we make? How can we nuke our brand doing this? Is this a good idea? Is it a good idea? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this was bad for Miami. I think this was bad for America, and I think this was bad for the world. I think Myron Gaines assured the success of OnlyFans. He assured the destruction of Miami. And that's all I have to say here today. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Myron Gaines was a completely organic guy who really wanted to help people become good daters, become virtuous woman. Because this is the same thing that Michael Knowles does, that all of these right-wing podcaster guys do, these conservatives and right-wingers, where they go on and they say that yelling at young women is going to somehow fix the world. I don't get it, but maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I don't understand. With that, everybody, let me know in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I appreciate you tuning in, but remember the 2 rules of the King Leo Show. Rule number 1, we don't talk about the King Leo Show. And rule number 2, we don't talk about the King Leo Show. With that, everybody, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tonight on stream.